Welcome to Big Blend Radio, where we celebrate variety and how it adds spice to quality of life. So everyone, if it's a garden party, Debbie Stone is going to be part of it. She travels the world, she travels the country, and I know Debbie loves gardens. And she's based in Santa Fe, New Mexico, which has some beautiful gardens, a lovely botanical garden. It's just a beautiful area. But she's also traveled to gardens around the world, like in Singapore. Oh my gosh, those gardens in Singapore. Debbie, that's still one of the most iconic gardens, right?
I think it's pretty, it's so unique and pretty spectacular. I think most people would agree. If they go there, they're just, they're pretty overwhelmed with how incredible it is there.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about all the gardens we've talked about over the years. Chicago, you've done a lot of sculpture gardens, and then also Santa Fe is a big deal. So right now you've got a new story, and everyone, the link is in the episode notes. And she's taking us to Santa Fe, which, normally she's taking us somewhere else in the world, like Kirsten Bosch in South Africa. Wasn't that one an epic garden too?
Oh, beautiful. They're all over in Bainbridge Island, Minneapolis.
That's right.
They're all over the place, and in Chicago, they're just all over the place. And they're just, to me, it's such a wonderful thing to be able to have a garden to get some respite or some inspiration and maybe some serenity and peace, or else just an incredible splashes of color when you need it.
Fresh air, sunshine, flower power is good, but art is part of it, and you do a lot on that when you go to gardens. I know that you in on,
yes.
Oh wait, there's an art aspect. I'm going in, and everyone, just some background here. If you're the first time listening, Debbie is on Big Blend Radio every fourth Tuesday with a destination that she's talking about, sometimes multiple destinations. Again, she travels the world. So stay tuned for that. Actually, in April, we are talking about Minneapolis. That's our conversation, and that does involve sculptures and gardens and downtown walking tours. It's an awesome segment, so stay tuned for that. But this is really cool. We think about gardens and yes, sculptures and everything, but what you're bringing to the table, I think, is over the top amazing. Origami in the garden. Origami sculptures in the garden. So this is origami. You think about that as like it's paper, right? Isn't this origami is Japanese, right? Because you used to live there.
Correct.
Right?
And it's an ancient Asian art, and it means, it translates to mean paper folding, which is what it is. And a lot of times people, when you're younger, you might have done some origami, or, like the crane is well known, in Japan. And that's one of the iconic, origami items, I think, that people, can relate to, or they think of when they think of origami. But it really is, it's paper folding. And this artist, Kevin Box, has taken this to a different level, in my opinion. He has created these sculptures. They're basically out of bronze. They're a stainless steel cast forms. He sees paper as the clean slate that he starts with, and then the piece that he creates goes through like a 35-step, 12-week process of lost wax casting, and he collaborates with origami masters because he believes that collaborating it helps magnify his ideas, and he definitely enjoys the whole collaborative aspects of working with people, especially masters in this particular form of art. And the kinds of things that inform him are, he creates origami animals and flowers and all sorts of objects, animals, and he is an incredibly creative man that also is somebody who believes that gardens are the way to get art to people, because people aren't intimidated by gardens, whereas they might be if they think about going into a gallery or a museum. But a garden, he says, is very approachable.
And kids can go in the garden.
That's
the other thing for families. I think it this is the thing about what's happened in the world of galleries, is that and there is something to be learned about like going into a library, like you've gone to a lot of historic libraries too. It's like, shh, don't touch this, but you can touch that, but not this, not that. So it's kind of it's kind of like wineries were kind of like that in the back in the day, and now they've had to learn to be a little bit loose, in regards to just don't don't put people down for what they don't know. Let's just put it that way. Does that make sense? Like in
Yeah,
regards to art, and
I
I'm
think it
not
does.
trying to, I'm not saying the right word, but let's embrace people at all levels of their journey in art, music, wine, and all of that. How about that?
I think it's the way it should be, because when you have a garden and you have these sculptures and you can touch them, and it's more than just looking with your eyes, but you can interact with them, which I think takes the art a step beyond. For example, if you go to a museum or a gallery, a lot of times you're not allowed to go up and touch a painting or even touch a
Yeah.
sculpture. There's probably certain areas in certain museums that allow for that kind of experience, that sensory experience, but mostly you really are looking with your eyes. Here you really, can really embrace, I think, the pieces at whatever level you're coming in at. And this garden, which is located outside of Santa Fe, is also the home of Kevin Box's the Box Studio, which is where he and his wife Jennifer do a lot of the collaborating there. And he has exhibitions that go to actual gardens themselves. So even though you can go and see this Origami in the Garden, you can see these sculptures in Santa Fe. There are also exhibitions that are around the United States, and currently there's one at Lou Gardens in Orlando, and another one at Tulsa Botanic Garden. Both are going into dates into September. So, you can see his work within a garden setting, which even takes it like to another step, So it's kind of a cool concept. But when you go inside the Origami in the Gardens, the one in Santa Fe, you're going to see some of these sculptures, you have to understand, are these jaw-dropping, ginormous pieces that are in this high desert 12-acre landscape. And you can stroll around and look to your heart's content. And, there's a little plaques that explain what the piece is. And, there's everything from these painted ponies that are galloping across the field. There's a winged horse. There's bouquets of flowers in all stages of development. There's cute bunnies. There's so many different pieces. And it's just, I found it very joyous to walk around there. It really was.
And the setting with the rocks and
yes,
like the dirt, like you're in the West, and this beauty is there which has this balance of sharp edges and roundness to it, with his art.
Exactly.
It really is awesome.
And it's just so colorful, I love this one that Jennifer created. It's called Carried Away, and it's a woman's dress. And the white dress has these cutouts and these butterflies that have been released from the dress to help lift this woman up and carry her away. And it's such a cool piece. And you go behind the piece and you see the inside of the dress, which has been left in its bronze state. So the plaque says that it allows us to glimpse her inner beauty as well as the exterior. So it's, some of the pieces just have such wonderful interpretations.
I love it. I love it. So they are open, so they have their own garden that people can go to, right? And it's by donation only. But this is through May through September, right? Where you can go south of Santa Fe, but his work is like traveling the country, right? Right now it's in the K Contemporary Art Gallery, right? That people can go to, but it travels the country. The world.
Yeah, the K Contemporary always has Kevin Box's work on display, both outside, and they have a wonderful sculpture garden in the back of the gallery as well as inside the gallery. So you can always see his work in Santa Fe, and then you can go south of Santa Fe, like you said, and see it in the Origami in the Garden. But like I mentioned previously, he does have these exhibitions that will be at different gardens. And so the two that I mentioned before in Oklahoma and in Florida are happening right now. So if you're anywhere near those two states or those two destinations and you really would love to see his work within that kind of garden setting, I highly, highly suggest and recommend that you visit.
Yeah, exactly. So everyone, if you go to origamiinthegarden.com, that will tell you where he is, really. And it's so beautiful. I love what he's done, and I want to go. I want to go. I want to go. Especially,
Good.
In that season is when people are on doing their road trips. So this is one of those roadside attractions that is super cool. So check that out. Again, also the link to Debbie's article where you can see the actual art and the images and, all of that. That is in the episode notes. So thank you so much, Debbie. It's always good, Fire Monkey, I should say, to have you back on the show.
Well, thank you very much for having me, and talk soon.
Happy spring.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Big Blend Radio. Keep up with our shows at bigblendradio.com.